a.m. on a typical day because she starts tutoring at the school. This map shows you approximately where Ms. Cooper, Eliana's mom, lives with Eliana, and the route she takes to school every morning. She takes the 14 bus to East 93rd, and then typically picks up the 10th bus to her school. You will learn that approximately a year ago, on the morning of January 26, 2017, Eliana never shows up to school. That her mother is unaware that she didn't arrive at school that day. And it's only after her mother, Ms. Cooper, calls the school that she learns Eliana never arrived at school that day. Ms. Cooper immediately calls the Cleveland Police Department. You'll hear from witnesses from the 4th District of the Cleveland Police Department, the CSU unit, the gang unit, and the FBI, that this was a all hands on deck situation. That officers were called in on their days off, that worked their days off, and were scouring the neighborhood looking for Eliana. They were looking up and down East 93rd. They were looking up and down Kinsman Avenue. They were looking in vacant homes, vacant businesses, all in the hope of finding out where Eliana was. That occurred from January 27th, 28th, and 29th. January 29th of 2017 was a Sunday, and at approximately 7:30 p.m., unfortunately, Eliana's body was discovered. She was discovered in an abandoned vacant home just off of East 93rd on Fuller Avenue at 9412 Fuller Avenue by 2 4th District Cleveland police officers. And she was found just down the street from the bus route that she takes every day to school. And when Officers Cloud and Officers Britton entered the home at 9412 Fuller Avenue, they saw a horrific scene. They discovered Eliana's body folded up in the corner of the room, bloodied, obvious blunt force trauma, and naked. They immediately called it in, and homicide arrived on scene to unfortunately transition this case from a missing person case to a homicide investigation. It's at this time that Detective Carlin and Detective Etnot arrive and start their homicide investigation. You'll learn the many pieces of evidence that the homicide unit with Detective Carlin and Detective Etnot are able to gather and lead to the eventual arrest and indictment of the defendant. They're able to secure RTA bus video showing when and how and at what time Eliana got off the bus. They were able to locate church video of the exterior on East 93rd, showing Eliana moving up and down East 93rd Street and encountering a gentleman. And you will be able to find out that homicide detectives were able to recover evidence at the crime scene that matches Eliana's DNA, evidence at the crime scene that matches items of clothing worn by the defendant, and finally, evidence from Eliana's body herself that matches the DNA of the defendant. You'll see RTA bus video showing Eliana smiling and riding the bus to school on January 26, 2017. You'll see her encounter a gentleman that turns out to be the defendant from a church video from January 26, 2017. You'll witness and see maps of where all the individual businesses and criminal locations are located. You'll have her residence, the McDonald's, the crime scene, where the church video is recovered, and where her school is. You'll also learn that a pair of boots from the defendant were recovered, and they were analyzed by the Trace Evidence Department, and that his boots matched footprints, bloody footprints, from inside the scene in 9412 Fuller Avenue. You'll also hear evidence that there were many tools recovered from inside the residence at 9412 Fuller Avenue, and that these tools were examined by forensic scientists at the medical examiner's office, and that these tools had blood on them and had the DNA profile of Eliana DeFries on several tools recovered from the scene. A nut driver, a box cutter, an electric drill, and a putty knife, all having Eliana's DNA on them. You'll hear further DNA testing that was done on and from in Eliana's body, that there was seminal material recovered, and that seminal material was recovered on her vagina and labia, and that it matches the major DNA component from the defendant. You'll hear that this defendant was interviewed following his arrest, and he gave a statement to Detective Carlin and Detective Enenach. First, minimizing what he knew about the case. First, telling police detectives that he had never met Eliana before. And then finally, admitting to Detective Carlin and Detective Enenach that he hit her, blacked out, dragged her to the closet, but allegedly can't remember what transpired. You'll also hear finally from Dr. Dolnak, who is the forensic pathologist in this case, about his examination of Eliana's body and what he was able to determine from his external and internal examination, and the many wounds that were on her head, neck, and torso. You'll hear from him that this case is ruled a homicide, that she had multiple injuries to her body, but most specifically, that a lot of these injuries, many of these injuries suffered by Eliana were suffered while she was still alive. That the injuries on her head that are consistent with some of those tools recovered showed signs of healing. So they were inflicted on her while she was still alive and in that home on 9412 Fuller Avenue. And the doctor will point out to you exactly which of these injuries, the injuries on her head and face, match up with those tools that were recovered at 9412 Fuller Avenue. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a serious case with difficult subject matter. The state of Ohio welcomes its burden in this case to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that Mr. Whitaker committed every single crime in this indictment. And we're going to tell you the story of what happened to Eliana, not because we want to, but because we have to. Because she deserves justice, and we have the burden to show exactly what Mr. Whitaker did to that girl. Thank you.